they're holding people hostage for these numbers that don't mean anything.
Hey Cryptic Creatures, welcome back to the Crypt. Today we have a very, very special video, an interview with Goth YouTuber JESS in King. JESS in King started her YouTube channel 4 years ago and has since made a variety of series, such as the Goth Music Earworm series, You Choose Goth Reacts, the Black Goth Disability Diaries, Goth Buys Black, Black-Owned Business Haul, and many, many more. Make sure you subscribe to JESS in King to stay up to date on all of her series. In this interview, we talk about what it's like being a YouTuber, what's great about the Goth community on YouTube, what's missing in the Goth community on YouTube, other platforms that are great for the Goth community, and so much more. Before we get into the interview, there is a call to action here that Jess highlighted during our conversation. If you see a lack of representation in your local Goth media, or even international Goth media, please reach out to the creators and let them know that you would like to see more diversity included in their work, specifically a representation of people of color within the Goth community, people with disabilities, queer and genderqueer individuals, and any other group that you recognize is underrepresented, because as we know, the Goth community is incredibly diverse. So let's make sure that's reflected. This interview was recorded over Zoom in July of 2021. Thank you so much to Jess for doing this interview. We had a wonderful and lengthy discussion. So this interview is broken up into 2 parts. Here's part 1. Welcome everyone. We are here with Jess in King. Jess, thank you so much for doing this interview today. It's really an honor. I've been watching your channel since I found you, I think in December of 2020. So this is kind of surreal to get to meet you and talk with you one-on-one. So thank you for doing this interview today.
I'm so glad to hear that you stayed with me that long. It's been a great time connecting with you through the comment section. And it's so wonderful that I'm able to see you like as face-to-face as we can get. Partly because Corona, but also partly because we technically live in different states. So even if Corona wasn't there, meeting in person would kind of be a little hard. So I'm glad that we're able to connect as close as possible.
Me too. And even though now, actually, I'm in Texas, but we're still like 12 hours away.
This is wild. You can be in, I'm in Houston. You can be in Houston literally for 3 hours and still not leave the city. It's that big here in Texas.
I didn't even know that. Wow, that is huge. So I am very fortunate to be able to do an interview with Jess today. And we have a variety of questions, mostly related to YouTube. So based on your first video that you uploaded actually 4 years ago, you did explain a lot in that video about, you know, why you were interested in YouTube and what made you upload your first video. But I would just like to hear more about, you know, what was the main appeal in starting your channel? Even before you actually uploaded that first video, what was it that made you feel like you wanted to someday have a YouTube channel?
I love that you got so much out of it because there are so many different types of ways people YouTube, that you got a lot of information out, because I feel like my style of YouTubing is to be really descriptive, to be really, I guess, informative, not necessarily educational because I'm not a teacher, but on the same way that I'm hoping that you learn a lot from my videos, be it learn it more about me, learn about the people that I share, learn about a topic that you didn't know about. So to hear that you like got it pretty clear just makes me happy and lets me know I'm on the right track. So why I created this is I just was looking and noticing this big empty hole in the goth subculture section of YouTube, Goth YouTube. And I saw a few people trying to fill this hole and it just never being completed. And I thought personally from watching it that this hole was always partially filled, half filled. I kept thinking, even though before I had my lights here and I have my lights here, I have a nice little small microphone that I don't have on right now. Before I had all this equipment, I started thinking to myself, wow, I wish. And as I said in my Naked Goth tag, Celtic Goth, rest in peace, told me, hey, go ahead and do it. So that's what got me there. But before I made the video, before everything, it was basically the fact that I got tired of having a big piece missing from Goth YouTube, basically.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And what was the big, like the main hole that you were seeing that you were wishing could be filled?
It's a good question because I have playlists that attack topics that I created because I wasn't seeing. So I have quite a few that I thought were missing, but the biggest thing that's missing is what I'll probably hark on over and over again. And I don't have a problem harking on it over and over again because it's important to hear until change happens. And if change never happens, it's important to point it out so people know that it's actually going on. The main part of the whole is representation outside of tokenism.
Tokenism is the practice of making only symbolic efforts to be inclusive to members of minority groups, especially by recruiting people from underrepresented groups in order to give the appearance of racial or gender equality.
They're used to treating people that look like me in the community as a token, as a, okay, let's do our equality or racial quota. Or let's put you on an interview for a podcast and we're only going to talk about what's it like being in the community in Black. Is it racist? Have you been discriminated against? Okay, that's it. We're not talking about music. We're not talking about Gothic themes of media that you're into, what inspired your looks, what your experience socially is in the scene. We're just going to stop it at the race talk. And that's a huge ass problem. I can imagine what it would be like if white people in the goth subculture was subjected to the same thing. I'm sure there would be a huge outrage going on. They're like, wow, they're only including us to talk about only one topic. But because they don't experience it, people don't talk about it. So that was the big hole that I saw. Tokenism as in, I'm just going to call it out. You guys are going to hear it. So I'm going to be honest about this. The whole Project for Sophie calendars that they have in the goth subculture. If you're someone that's not goth or you haven't heard of it, there's this organization that's been around for at least 5 years called the Project for Sophie, with regarding Sophie Lancaster, a goth in Europe that was killed just for looking like we do. But she was white and she didn't have the whole LGBT, so sexual or gender discrimination. She didn't have the Black and brown melanated discrimination. Outside of the way she looked, people weren't going to treat her bad. And while we all want to look how we want to look, we can make a choice. For example, most goths in America, unfortunately, have to take this makeup off when they work. And they have to have either a no makeup or a plain face. Most goths, I don't know, nowadays things are changing, but I'm 34. When I grew up, this kind of t-shirt would not be appropriate, but I do see that in the retail and the food service that is changing. But something like this would not be appropriate for work and they would fire you and you wouldn't be able to find a job like that. So while we all want to look the way we want to look, that's something you can technically change. Your race / ethnicity / color of your skin, your identities when it comes to gender and sexual orientation, as well as being disabled. You know, these are core things that you cannot change. And that's why the incident's horrible. But to come up with this society wanting to make it a rule that goth is a protected discrimination, that's offensive. also offensive because what about us Black goths who are going to be called the N-word, right? We have protection by the way we look, but we don't have a protection. People are going to say, oh, this hair, it is messy, it's gross, it's not straight, it's coily, it's brillowy, how dare. That whole thing they're trying to fix isn't going to make it go away. And then not only that, the other problematic thing is their calendar. And I think this is their main thing outside of that. Their calendar that they've been doing for 2 or 3 years now, the last 3 years, there's only been 1 or maybe 2 Black people out of the 12 months of the year on there. They keep saying, ooh, we reached out to people. And I'm wondering, how did they reach out to people? Because it is purely, I would say, 8 or 9 out of 12 months, white or white passing people. I don't see any Native American people. And if they are, they're very light skinned. But when I read it, because usually they have a description of who is on the calendar for each month, I never saw anyone say that. I've never seen an Asian representation on there. And this has been going on for 3 years in a row. And I had contacted them already in a private message saying, hey, I would appreciate if you reached out and put more melanated people on here. They obviously didn't pay attention to that because the next calendar only had 1 or 2 people on there again. And I'm thinking to myself, out of a 12-month, 12 photos, why can't it be half and half at the least? So that is why I think that it is important for me to have my channel. And I'm going to be honest, I personally, I'm not trying to be negative, but I don't see it ending positively as it changing in the near future. I was doing a panel for this Japanese street fashion event called Arisu online a few weeks ago, and I was talking about diversity in Japanese street fashion, which includes, the Gothic cute fashion that I usually dress in. And I said at that point, with the whole diversity thing, it's up to us now. It's up to us because we have social media, so we have access to share things. We have a phone that has a camera, so we can create. We have our ability to get lighting, to get backdrop, to do all this thing. It's important for us to stand up and do it for each other, because at the end of the day, that's all we have. So that was the big hole, and that's my answer to the big hole. And that's why I'm personally doing it, to answer, to fill in that hole as best I can.
Thank you for sharing. And your channel is, by the way, so informative and I would say educational, because I learn a lot about music, a lot about different YouTubers, brands. So absolutely. So the way that you're filling the hole it's awesome that you're doing it. And also it is like teaching so much. Oh, at least I could say for myself, but I'm sure for so many others too. You're like 700 plus subscribers now.
Thank you. Yes, yeah. I am very thankful for every 700, but this is going to be the interview where I'm going to talk about these topics. I'm part of Goth because I'm a counterculture person, so I don't have a problem respectfully ruffling feathers. The whole YouTube system is jacked up how it is right now because they don't allow you to start earning for the work and effort you put in to make these videos until you reach, I think, 1K subscribers and a certain amount of views. They changed the view count. That's why I say certain amount and I don't know anymore. But it has been proven even on the bigger channels, because I follow people that have 1 million subscribers and they never get 1 million people watching their content. And the only time that they will surpass it, if it gets viral or it's trending or just for 1 or 2 videos, it's not a consistent upkeep. So I am thankful, and I am never ever gonna say anything different about everybody who has subscribed to my channel, all 740 something, I think 48 of y'all. I am grateful, and I'm glad that I have touched and reached you guys enough that you feel the need to hit that subscribe button and the notification button. That means a lot that you're touched about that. Every single comment that I get, I love that y'all comment and you feel compelled enough to engage with me and to engage with what I like to call YouTube land, because we all have to have our little niche. And I am also grateful that everyone who shares my videos or puts me in a playlist or something. So I'm never going to say that I don't like the interaction. I love it, and it helps fuel us to keep going. Every content creator is fueled by that. But the system is just jacked up because they're holding people hostage for these numbers that don't mean anything. If the subscriber count meant something, then the amount of people that viewed a video by video should be about equal to who signed up. But I know that I don't have that. For me, most people watch about 30 or 40 views per video, and that is normal for people in the hundreds. Whereas in the millions, you're only going to have like 85,000 people, 20,000 people. So yes, I'm happy, but my little let's be real is that it's also erroneous. Technically doesn't mean anything in some sense.
That does make sense, and I agree. Like the algorithm, the algorithm just makes everything so much more difficult. But you're right. That's not even just the algorithm. That's a choice by YouTube. YouTube in itself, obviously, is like a huge time commitment and takes a lot of work. And you mentioned that the Kilted Goth was an influence in helping you to, or not helping you, but in encouraging you to put your first video out there. And now, after you did that, after you released your first video 4 years ago, did you have a moment where you felt like, wow, I could have done this sooner, and like, I wish I had done it sooner? Or do you just feel like everything happened kind of in the right time?
That's a good question. I honestly feel that the answer probably changes as time goes on. I don't have a clear recollection of ever kicking myself, but I do know that it just takes time to build your platform and to get better, because one of the things that I do like about YouTube is a lot of the people who are making money off of it, that do have the 1 million views, all started out janky. And I love when they don't hide their stuff or make their stuff private, because some of the people that have more subscribers do that, I guess, to give a certain image off or something of that nature, which I don't understand why they feel the need to have a perfect image when there are so many people raw on here. It's like they're not the only person. So if you're not the only person, why are you afraid to show it? But that's one of the things that I like about the whole not waiting sooner or waiting sooner thing to release my first video is the people that I watch when I have time to watch, which is not that much nowadays because I have a lot of videos I need to edit, is that if you go and you look at their date from oldest to newest, their first few videos are always homeschool looking, and they're always janky. And it's just them starting to put out what they do now. And because of that, I did wait a while because I didn't want it to be janky. I want to be one of those rarer YouTubers that start out with a cute little backdrop and they have all their things set up. Because there are some people that do start out like that. In fact, before I stopped watching people in the makeup guru section, I would see a few, I think about 5 or so people in there that I just came across looking when you're on that rabbit hole, where they only had 3 videos or 2 videos up, but they look so professional. I was just like, oh, okay, you guys already did that. I am shocked, shooketh. But because so many people don't, I think that's why I don't have that anxiety over it. I wish it was less shaky. I wish that it was a little more condensed, but hey, I did it and I'm not the only one.
That's such a good point. And I feel like that inspires other people too. Like the more we just like put ourselves out there, the more other people might feel like the inspiration to do the same. And it's funny because I feel like no matter how prepared you are, you'll always look back and find ways that you weren't as prepared as you thought you were. So it's like you might as well just start where you are. So it sounded like you had various Goth YouTuber friends before creating your own channel. So did you meet them through YouTube as a viewer first, or did you know them from other online platforms or in person? And did that make it easier for you to start your channel by knowing these like Goth YouTubers?
Question, can this also include just goth people online that you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have in person, or just the YouTubers?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I guess just like having that goth community, did that support you in going ahead and creating your channel?
Okay. I have a mix, and that's why I asked to clarify. I don't necessarily count the goths that I follow on YouTube as friends, because most of them are not connected to my Facebook, and Facebook for me actually turned into my updated life journal when life journal got taken over by Russian bots and it got so much spam that people just stopped going to it, and it had a period before some people still are on it now, died, but the bots really just totally killed LiveJournal. So I kind of transferred what I used to be doing on LiveJournal, talking about my day, my experiences, and not just marketing or not just networking or not just selling stuff like some people do on Facebook. So because Facebook for me was more of a let me tell you about my life mixed with let me get to know about y'all's life, I feel that that's kind of the main online hub for people to personally know me on a personal level and have me go in details about my trials and tribulations, because I'm very honest about my trials and the hard things in my life, stuff that people don't usually talk about. And that's why when it comes to the YouTube question, I'm like, I know them, but I don't consider them friends because they don't know what my struggle is. But I did know quite a few just because I love being interactive on YouTube. Whenever I watch a video, I usually like to do multiple comments just because of a few reasons. I like to multiple comment because just like Facebook, I'm a stream of consciousness writer. I'm not writing for proper punctuation, grammar, etc. I'm writing to express the emotion that's in there in written form, since they can't verbally or physically see the emotion that I have while the video is going on. Two, I like to double comment because as a content creator, I know the more comments on a video, the more it will help the creator with the algorithm. And I think those are the main reasons why I like to multiple comment. So because I like to comment a lot, as long as the people actually respond back, they get to know a side of me, but not like the full me. So I would say acquaintances. I do have a lot of acquaintances on YouTube that are in the goth subculture because of how I like to be very engaging on the platform. And I don't know if they really helped me to start my channel, but what they helped me to do is to notice the holes that were going on and to notice one part of it that I didn't mention, which is for whatever reason, the only thing I can think of is that when you are multiply marginalized, life is just harder for you and you don't have access to certain things that the more privileged people have. I'm going to say that's the reason that a lot of Black female presenting YouTubers don't have a consistent channel. I don't know how else or why else it happens, but you look, you'll type in Black Goth, or you will look at African American Goth. If you actually look at the people who come up that have a lot of views on their videos on the algorithm, probably the first 10 videos that show up, you go to their profile, and for whatever reason, their profile will literally be like one video 6 months later, or 3 years later, or 2 years later. And you don't see people consistently sharing. I don't know why. That's the only thing I can think of, since they're all Black, but that also helped give me a push to what I'm doing now, which is trying to be as consistent as possible. I would love to be more, but right now, once a week is all I can really do at this point. So I'm not sure if it really shaped me to start it, but it helped me look at those holes, as I mentioned. So it helped guide me on what I wanted to start doing. And I wanted to also bring up the Facebook side, so people who know me more, I get to really see a hub of what's being talked about a lot online. And that's another thing that's fueled me, the things that I feel are missing that are less important than the whole talk to Black people 24/7 and not just about race. So it really helped me hone in on other things, on why I have playlists on other channels. So I don't think that either of them really got me started, but they all helped me hone in.
Thank you for sharing. So what do you like about the Goth community on YouTube specifically? And then we'll get into the challenges.
Okay, so I like a few things. Otherwise, I wouldn't be on there. I wouldn't put all this effort and time into making videos and sharing videos and building my channel with content and community if I didn't like it. Like you said, something, I don't know why, but YouTube just attracts people that have good vibes, as you say it. The community usually likes to listen, pay attention, respond. I like the responses. Yeah, you have haters. Like, for example, someone posted on a comment that I made sometime this week, who was a white icon, a white guy icon, that said Aunt Jemima to me. And I was like, oh, you're wanting to be racist today. I said, oh, okay, you want to be racist today. Cool story, bro. So yeah, you get those racists that are on here, and you do get trolls and stuff. But honestly, most of the negative people are very small, in my opinion. And they're very quiet compared to real life people just wanting to reach out and engage. I feel, for whatever reason, YouTube is a better hub of connecting to the culture than Facebook is. I'm not on Twitter. I've never been on Twitter, but I feel like YouTube is also better probably than Twitter. I see a lot of goths say that they're on Instagram, so I'm not going to choose that. I don't know what TikTok is because I'm 34, but I feel that what I've seen on TikTok is that it's very short. So people have to literally do like 5 or 10 entries just to say 3 minutes worth of speech. And YouTube gives you the access to be as long-winded as you want. There used to be a max though, because I know at one point you couldn't upload those 10-hour like relaxing videos or those 10-hour loops. I remember that. I think that was around like 2008, 2007 or something. I know that there was a point where you couldn't do that, but then they were like, screw it, just do whatever you want. So I think that's one of the things, the vibes, the allowingness to be as lengthy or as short as you want. And another thing that I like is the fact that it's building this reference. It is building, for those of us like me that do informational videos, a wealth of resources. So if somebody is new to the subculture of goth and doesn't understand that goth music is first, they can start listening to the music. They can look at recommendations that I've made. They can even find bands on there or people playing on there. I found, I think last year, some Latinx guy that did a few goth songs by banjo, and it's very like bluegrass. He called it like kind of the bluegrass goth version of songs. Now he did this with very low quality, so the sound isn't perfect and it's a little quiet, but that's again, like we said, just start where you get in and build up from there. So I think that for whatever reason, it's really attracting creatives, and it's attracting creatives with good personality, and that's how they get the vibes that you mentioned.
Awesome. Yes. And you know what? Oh my gosh, you just taught me about two things I didn't know. I didn't know that there used to be a cap on time on YouTube, and I didn't know that LiveJournal got taken over by by Russian bots, because I used to love LiveJournal back in the day, and I had no idea what happened to it. So that's really interesting to know.
Yeah, that's what happened. So it's kind of like how, you know, MySpace had their problem and then people just kind of backed away. It was kind of like that. It was very sudden. It was not something prepared. It wasn't something that we knew had a countdown for it to happen. All of a sudden, if you would start going on to the LiveJournal groups, there was a bunch of people in almost all groups, be it public or a private only group, where there were posts with all the, I don't know the language, but the Russian language caricatures going down, 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 down. And then you're like, okay, where did people go? People stopped commenting after that. And then there was a post, I think, somewhere on where I was in some group that made it public saying that, oh, apparently what happened was there were a bunch of bots that came in that decreased people feeling safe and secure to be in. And funny, not only that, after the bots came in and the bots went away, LiveJournal was bought out by a Russian company. I don't know if that's connected or not, but that did happen. And so that's the demise. And it just sucks though, because you're right. The community was gang up there, but yeah, they ruined it. Okay.
That sounds like a conspiracy to me. Like first the Russian bots come in and then a Russian company buys LiveJournal.
Ooh, it could be. I don't know. Yeah. Someone probably has made a YouTube on this, probably.
Yeah, we've got to find it. Now yes. I'm interested. Thank you for sharing some of the things that you love about the Goth YouTube community. And I know that you already did mention some of the challenges. Do you want to expand on that more or talk more about like some of the challenges that exist within the Goth community?
Yeah, I want to.
Okay, cool.
Because you asked what the main hole is, and I again agree with what I said, that the main hole is looking at Black goths, its tokens. I am a mixed, thank you Ancestry and Jed Match for helping me figure this out finally after decades of not knowing what exactly it was. But I'm a mix of people that were stolen from North Africa, around Egypt, like the real homeland. But also when they came here, they mixed with people who were Native Americans, and part of people who are Native Americans are Mexicans, because Mexico here in Texas is really close to the state, and at one point it was a part of Mexico, so that Mexico/Native American is kind of melding for me. So I can't talk about Asia because that's not my culture. I don't know anything except for the pop culture as a weeaboo growing up as a kid, and I can't really talk about the European, because there are some people in Europe, if I remember correctly, that are dark skinned. I think some Italians are, but I can't talk about the gap with other races because it's not my lived experience, and therefore I'm not educated in that. But the big gap is still the whole tokenism, and let's talk about that. But there are other things that I just get tired of. When I had the time to look up goth and I saw what kind of videos people were making and I watched them, pretty much I think it was last year. I think I had time to really do that. But it's really, what really grinds my gears is, no offense, but I feel that the people that are white that are talking about the subculture have this loop to loop. And it's kind of like they're mesmerized on it. because I feel that they keep repeating these subjects in different ways over and over again. And only a few of them are breaking free. And I'm kind of like, okay, don't you get tired of rehashing the subject? I guess not. And I guess maybe it's a quick way to do a video. I don't know. But one of these loops is the discussion of, can you be goth without listening to the music? I literally can tell you that I know that at one point in 2019 or 2018, that if you looked up goth, there was literally more than 5 videos of white people that made that subject. I do know that a Black person named Gothic Soulflower, who I followed and who also inspired me, made that video, but she has other topics on her channel. That's like not her main focus. But I kept seeing that and I was like, wow, number one, would be repetitive. Wow, number two, you're beating a dead horse. There's only technically one right answer. And if they want to say, oh, I'm goth, but I don't listen to the music, well, you can't convince them any other way. So if they want to be ignorant, there's no way for you with what you're sharing to convert people to understand things more. So that's a mini hole. Another mini hole is the whole, oh no, goth glam is a thing and goth isn't just about dressing up. Cool, show them the other parts. Stop complaining about the fact that there are so many makeup hauls, there's so many Shein little reviews, that there's so many Romy and Wish and Mercari, or even the main brands of the Black Craft, but I don't know the other brands people are buying from that I don't buy. I love a good Macy's and Target. They are really great for Black themed clothes that aren't Japanese that I buy from. But it gets tiring for me to again see these people. I guess maybe it's a negative Nancy thing, because first they're complaining about the music and people not being into it, then they're complaining that it's all fashion. Oh no, it's all fashion. Back then they used black eyeliner for their lips, and now they were crimping their hair, but now they have all these little makeups and they're getting all these things. Okay, we heard it. Let's move on from there. And how are people going to know any different if all you're focusing on is what you don't like? Or they're like, oh no, there are people on here that look to be goth, but they aren't listening to goth music, but they'll have the words in it. So they're trying to co-opt our culture. We can't stop them, but if we have more information than misinformation, the people who are co-opting goth but aren't goth wouldn't matter, because people that are truly looking for it would find a wealth of information if you actually make videos that don't complain about it and that actually inform people about it. So it's just annoying, because I feel all the time I look on goth, and if I venture outside of melanated goth, which because of these reasons, I have literally a few years ago just stopped clicking on their videos. I feel that all they do is complain about shit. And I'm like, why are we having these basic ass questions? Why are you keep rehashing these things? Why can't you just actually talk about different things? And that's why I'm sad that the main whole of Black goth people aren't being consistent, because 9 times out of 10, if you click on a Black goth YouTuber, you might have a few videos where they talk about, oh, I've never been racially judged in the community. Yeah, I'm so special. Or the real, oh yeah, I've been judged or I've been done this and this, but I haven't let it stop me. Yeah, you might see that on a page, but there's more to their pages usually. Usually they show you how they're putting their makeup on, or they're playing a music in the background, like Glam Goth Beauty. She'll put music on the background. She'll show you a day in the life of her building her empire with her business. Or you'll have somebody like I mentioned with Gothic Soulflower. She'll show you her Gothic belly dancing. And so is that official goth? No, but they use Gothic themes, so it is a part of the subculture, because there is stuff outside of the music, and so the stuff out of the music is what you Google. What does gothic mean? Oh, it's dark themes, it's creepy themes, it's themes that are unknown. So you're kind of afraid because you don't know what's going on. So that's why I feel it's annoying, because I know that you can do better content than that, but they don't, and they get all this views doing this basic stuff, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
I know that this is a question to you, so I'm not going to put my 2 cents in too much, but
Go ahead.
To be fully honest, I sort of struggle with my own, I guess, kind of identity and using the word goth, because I listened to goth music since I was in high school, and I listened to like a lot of goth bands. That was like one of the main genres I listened to back then, and I still listen to it, but for one, I don't even listen to music that much anymore, which is weird to say. Like, half the time now I just have YouTube videos playing. Like, I'll be washing dishes and there's like a YouTube video. I'm like in the shower and there's a YouTube video. But I would say, like, I listen to goth a bit, I listen to metal, I listen to like different genres, and I almost feel like how it feels to me to like come onto YouTube and even like use the word goth. It feels like if you're not listening to goth music like 100% of the time or majority of the time, then you're not supposed to use the word goth. But also I feel like there are some goth, like I know some goth YouTubers who listen to the music, they go to events, but they don't necessarily talk about the music that much on their channel. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, I know that the music is important and it's central, but it's kind of how you're saying this, like, beating a dead horse topic of kind of saying like it has to be at the forefront or you're not real. And it's kind of like gatekeeping other people without even really knowing them, without even really knowing what they're into. Now, like, if someone's coming out and straight up saying, I hate goth music, but then they're calling themselves goth, that's different. But to just assume that someone doesn't like the music just because, it's not incorporated into a video, I think that's really interesting, because then it's saying, like, in order to participate in the goth community on YouTube and be accepted, you have to prove yourself in a way. That's almost like how it feels to me.
I think that what you said is important, and it's also another reason why having a variety of people you connect with is so important. Because I don't know if you know about, well, you watched my video, so you heard me talk about it. I don't know if you ever tried it though, how Goth Twitch is a thing. Do you remember how I talked about that at one point?
Yeah, I know that there's like goth streamers and they stream goth music, and that's awesome. But I'm not big on Twitch. Like, I wish I was, but okay. I don't get on Twitch too often.
The reason I asked is that Goth Twitch has a lot of elder goths on there. So I'm talking about people that love to comment in the chats like, this brings back memories, this reminds me of high school, and blah, 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 blah. And I have experienced Goth Twitch to be almost 100% different than Goth YouTube. I would even say that it might be a 180-degree change to that extent. Because when I go on there, and I love to have music in the background when I'm editing. So that's, I think, first I found it out. Then I made a post to say, look at this amazing stuff that's going on YouTube. And then I was like, trying to figure out, where do I fit with Twitch? Like, is this something I want to do every day? Because there's literally people uploading every day. Usually in America, there's a break since my sleep cycle's all messed up. While I'm unemployed, I don't have to wake up for anyone. So now I'm like, go to sleep whenever. That I'm sometimes up from about the time of 5 to 7 a.m. For whatever reason, that time slot, I can never find a goth channel. So if anyone's watching this and wants to do a Twitch, you should do your Twitch within the hours of 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, or that would be 6 to 8 or 9, because that's a time frame that no one's on and you can't corner the market. And on there, it's completely different. When I'm in these chats, I like to be in the chat and engage. And honestly, I love it more than clubs because I get to know the DJ a little bit. I get to interact with the DJ. I get to hear what they're interested in. I get to hear their knowledge or where they found this record or who told them about this. And I get to chat with a lot of people who love music. And it also gives me information. Sometimes I learned that, for example, 11 Rockets song Ball of Confusion was not created by them, but was actually created by the Black soul group, The Temptations, which I'm going to do a video on eventually, because again, another example of how Black people have contributed to the subculture that the main people that get praise and get the views and stuff will never tell you about. And with the knowledge and things like that, I love it. However, I noticed that whenever I comment that people have a different viewpoint, you will get the occasional person that says, oh, this isn't goth, or this is goth, or this is this genre of music. However, most of the people and most of the DJs that play the music will say that it's just 80s, or they'll say the name, they'll say new wave, synth pop, synth wave, dark wave, cold wave, but they won't call it goth. They'll do the genre of music that it is. Or there's one person I love that's in California. She has one called Miserable Mondays, where she actually does what she calls proto goth. And I Googled and I was like, ooh, what is that? That sounds interesting. And it's kind of a term that she just came up. And she's like, oh, for me, it's things that aren't the official title, but it's right in line with what might inspire goth, as well as swampy, what she calls swampy vibes and things of that nature. And I was on World Goth Day on Twitch, and quite a lot of people in the chat during World Goth Days were going from DJ to DJ streamer were saying that goth is whatever a goth will listen to. No way you can say that on YouTube. In fact, there's this one person that likes to butt heads with me in the comment section that likes to say, oh, that's not really goth, or this isn't a goth person. To be honest, this is this and it's not that. And I can tell you that is not what you will get on Twitch. So it is important to be on different platforms, because you will get a different taste of what the subculture is depending on where you are. So with that gatekeeping, I can agree. YouTube is very gatekeeping. Why? I don't know. It could be because that a lot of the YouTubers are either the second generation and they aren't the elder, and that Twitch is more of the older generation and the older generation is more flex. Or it could be just who they're attracting. I don't know. But you are correct. Depending on where you go, there will be a gatekeeping vibe.
I feel like it's unfortunate that so many people see goth as, you know, you hear about the elitist goth and the gatekeeping goth, and it's kind of sad that that's such a big association.
If you are still with us, thank you for listening to part 1 of this interview. In part 2, we will touch on more topics such as mental health and the goth community and expression, advice for aspiring YouTubers, and so much more. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Jess's channel, and you can watch a collab that we did over on her channel as well. All links will be in the description below. Remember to take care of yourselves, because it is the most important thing. See you in the next video.